Hi, and welcome to Dharma.tv number 12. Today I would like to speak more about love and emptiness and how we understand things and how we appreciate things and the way we react to things and respond to things. And to begin with, I would like to talk some about how we perceive emptiness. Emptiness by us is perceived usually as an abstract thing. Um, Yet, the reality is that emptiness is something other than that. Emptiness is something that we can see with our eyes, hear with our ears, taste with our tongue, smell, touch. Things that we think are also emptiness. And yet, we take these things, and when we talk about emptiness, we tend to see an abstract. And habitually, we become dualistic and we focus on things that we're tasting, smelling, hearing, so on and so forth, as having some basis in fact. When really, what they really are is a part of a almost multi-dimensional um, universe that we perceive constantly. And it's constantly changing, and so we're constantly perceiving the movement within this multi-dimensional universe. Now, we can call this actually a relentless changing nature of the universe, and we can say that it is surging with constant movement of emptiness and unconditional love as well. So all the movement of emptiness is unconditional love. Now, um, when we talk about love, um, as I've spoken before, um, we can only become conditional if we feel that, um, uh, or dualistic if we feel that we love and we don't love, that we control love. We do not control love. Love is there in every appearance, and as such, it, um, it allows us to see it or not. Um, and the only way that we don't see love in an appearance is when we become dualistic, and we stand in our own way of being able to perceive the love that's there. And by doing this, we are dualistic. So we know then that if we're not seeing love in a certain situation, then somehow we're being dualistic. That's why we're not seeing it. So we can say that if we're not dualistic, then we see every insect as something that is some aspect of love. Every being is some aspect of love. Every appearance that appears to us, there's some aspect of love there. In fact, um, as we're surrounded by love, we're surrounded by unconditional love in every aspect. Everything we smell, everything we taste, touch, hear, see, think. So that we're surrounded by this in a multidimensional way, yet the very fact that we suffer and that we live in an ocean, boundless ocean of suffering, is the fact that we continue to perceive things as having a basis in fact. If we give that up, if we, through our meditation, our meditative state and our practice, give up that idea that things have a basis in fact, that we then find ourselves surrounded by unconditional love in every form that we can perceive. Now, this can feel pretty good, and I have to say that um, by being in this state, it only encourages us to be in this state even more, so that we find ourselves surrounded always, at all times, all aspects of the day, and all aspects of the night. We find ourselves surrounded by unconditional love in every form. Now, um, this we know that this multi-dimensional um, uh, appearances in emptiness, the phenomena that rises in emptiness. And remember, we have to think of all things as rising. Well, the phenomena that's rising in emptiness, if we intellectually understand that each one of these phenomena that rises for us, each one has the quality of unconditional love. Now, we can either see it or not. If we think something and we think that someone has done something that is not right, then we can perceive that as possibly something that stops us from seeing the love that's there. Yet we have to understand that if this is an individual, even if this is a creature of any sort, that it loves, it has love within it. The very fact its form is love, and that it exists in a multidimensional universe, which we refer to as emptiness. It exists within that as an object of love in itself, not as an object that we can perceive of love so much as an object of love itself, the very fact that it exists. So we can say that the movement of emptiness is unconditional love. That's what makes it move. That's what makes the change happen. So this sense then is that we are surrounded by unconditional love at every moment. And if we're not seeing it, then we're being dualistic. We are stopping ourselves. We're standing in our own way. We are dividing things into good and bad. That's what we do. That's our habit. That's our habitual habit. We're taught to do that as children, to divide things into good and bad. And thus, this is what we do. And we are surrounded by individuals who do just that all day long. Newspapers, magazines, video media, in every way, shape, or form. Books, traditions, you name it. So if we are to become enlightened, then we need to surpass all of these things, and we need to understand things on a different realm. We need to understand that there's this multidimensional environment, so to speak, that we refer to as emptiness, that is in fact, has no basis in fact. This is not to say that an appearance does not have a sense of realness to it. If another person is upset, they could be very upset. And if we're to help them, we need to have compassion for them. And it's not going to help us if we say, well, oh, don't worry, it's emptiness, don't worry, it's this multi-dimensional environment of emptiness, and things that are happening appear to be real, but really it's just a movement of emptiness, so you don't have to worry about it, it'll be gone in a moment. That's not really going to help anyone who's not a Buddhist. That's really not going to help anyone who doesn't have a practice. And we need to have compassion for them. We need to have compassion for the fact that they feel that this has a sense of realness to it, which seems to them to be very permanent and to be very stressful. And even ourselves, even though we believe, we understand that all things, that we're surrounded by unconditional love at every moment, we can be stressed out as well. It can happen to the best of us. It is part of being human. It's part of being alive. Stress. It has functions. It can make us hurry up. It can make us make sure that we do something. We can call it stress or pressure or whatever we wish to call it. But it is there. It is easily accessed. It is an element of anxiety, and anxiety is something that human beings can get involved in. That's why we need to have a practice, and we need to have a practice that is constantly stating that, constantly reminding ourselves that this is emptiness, that these things are rising, that this is this multi-dimensional thing that we perceive with our bodies, and it rises within our mind. And as such, we need to have a sense that it has a sort of a sense of being real, but in fact really isn't. Now, that's going to help us, but it's not really going to help non-Buddhists. And it's not really going to help when we try to deal with non-Buddhists. Remember, what we're after here is to develop compassion, loving kindness and compassion, and be able to reflect unconditional love that we see in every appearance. That's our practice. And as such, with that practice, we want to be able to practice that. So we want to be able to practice compassion for others, all others, no matter what they're up to, no matter what they're doing. If they're greedy, if they're selfish, if they are hateful, we need to have compassion for them. We need to have compassion for the boundless suffering that takes place of all life in the universe of emptiness. We need to have compassion for all of that. Now, that can be very difficult to bring about, generate at moments, but we need to try. We need to do the best we can. The more we understand that we're surrounded in every way by unconditional love in every appearance, that we become the reflection of all that love, the more we understand that we are doing that, the more compassion we can have for all others. So we need to generate compassion in our meditation. We need to generate compassion. We need to meditate on compassion. There are several ways to do that. One thing is that we can begin our meditation with a situation of some tragedy of some sort, and to generate compassion in the beginning of our meditation for that. And then as we meditate for the 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour or whatever we do, we want to generate compassion that entire time. Now, then we can become a person who has ready compassion for all things. There is a principle of compassion referred to as endless compassion, compassion without borders, where we can envision compassion streaming from our bodies as like a ray of light, rays of light that just stream off of our bodies. That in these rays of light are rays of compassion to all beings that we come into contact with. Now, to do this, we need to be reflecting the love of all appearances and perceiving the love in all appearances, and understanding that all creatures represent love and that all appearances represent love. So we need to find this love. We need to find this love in every appearance. And as such, then, we need to also be compassionate for all creatures. So it goes hand in hand. And generating compassion is a great part of being a Buddhist and having a mahamudra practice. And remember Chenrezig, Avalokiteshvara, these are figures of compassion. Tara, these are figures of compassion. Great compassion. Tara was said to have been born from a tear from the eye of Avalokiteshvara. So this gives you an idea. If Avalokiteshvara could give rise to Tara from a tear, then this is an individual of great compassion. And we need to look to an individual such as this, who was a real person at one time, as embodying the sort of compassion which we wish to embody for all things in this boundless ocean of suffering, for all things, all beings, this compassion. So if we see then love being, if we see that we're surrounded by unconditional love, and that we simply need to see it to reflect it, then the dance of the Dharmakaya becomes joyful and loving without beginning or end in our own personal life. Remember, the dance of the Dharmakaya is all things that occur, all things that take place, including ourselves. We're all part of the dance of the Dharmakaya in emptiness. And as such, if we see that, then we become joyful and loving towards all creatures and all appearances. We reflect that love that is there to all things and all creatures. So that's what I would like to talk about today. And I have a question, and I will come back. Hi. So the question this week then is about wisdom, along the lines of what is wisdom, and so I will talk about that. Wisdom in a contemporary Western point of view is, wisdom. We say that people that get older have wisdom, and wisdom means to many people just being knowledgeable about appearances and so on and so forth. But as Buddhists in our practice, as mahamudra practitioners, we want a different idea of wisdom, not the sort of contemporary dualistic idea of wisdom, that simply becoming knowledgeable about appearances is not wisdom. Wisdom really is something much more than that. And wisdom is really something, or sublime wisdom really is something that we wish to bring about. Now, how do we do that? Well, we do that by meditation, by becoming a meditator and having extensive experience in meditation. It's wonderful if we can meditate every day. It's wonderful if we have a practice of meditation. And we should have a practice of meditation. It is a way to clear things and still the mind. But really, what we want also is the sense that of stillness and peace in our mind, which we can bring about on command. And we can allow then stillness or tranquil abiding to rise when we wish it to rise. And by doing that, we will find then that it rises even when we don't wish it to rise. It will always be there. It will always rise and be our friend. We will never be alone if we have tranquil abiding. We will never have that fear and anxiety that comes about. It will always be our friend. Now, given that, then I think when we talk about sublime wisdom is the acceptance of emptiness in mind. Sublime wisdom is the acceptance of Buddha nature, the acceptance of emptiness in all things, and it's not an intellectual thing. Wisdom in sublime wisdom in mahamudra is really something more. It is the profound acceptance of the nature of all things. The nature of all things is Buddha nature, and Buddha nature is the acceptance of emptiness in mind, that all things are emptiness in mind. So that we can go back and say, well, when we encounter something, if we have sublime wisdom about that, we can look at it and perceive it and just automatically think to ourselves that this is emptiness in mind. In emptiness in mind, ultimately, there is nothing to conclude, there's nothing to observe, there's nothing to make statements about. The only point of view to have, really, is that all things are emptiness and mind. So, but we have to live life, and we have to interact with appearances and live life, and we have to go to work, and we have to have our families, and we have to have relationships with other people, and we have to live this life in the human culture. So then wisdom becomes the way that we do that. Sublime wisdom becomes the way that we do that. Sublime wisdom allows us to interact with the appearances, which are, which we see as having quality of unconditional love. It allows us to interact with them, and yet understand at the same time that they are emptiness in mind, the points where emptiness in mind are realized. And this is sublime wisdom. So wisdom is something to be sought, but also wisdom is something that comes about through our understanding. And the more understanding we possess, the more of a practitioner of mahamudra we are, the closer we come to the state of mahamudra, the more sublime wisdom we embody. So wisdom then becomes, sublime wisdom then becomes something that we seek, but sublime wisdom also is something that we can only have through our practice. It is not an intellectual understanding. It is a profound response that comes about through our practice and through our being honest with ourselves and our practice, and through diligence and diligently practicing. It comes about this way. So now I would say that this is something that we seek, and if we regard ourselves as being surrounded by unconditional love at every moment, sublime wisdom is the ability to see that, to understand that, and if we understand that we're surrounded by unconditional love at every moment, then we need to have that sublime wisdom to be able to point that out to others. And how we point that out to others is not to give them a lecture on it, because they're not going to understand. It's like someone who stops eating meat and then runs out and tells everybody why they should stop eating meat. I don't think they're going to do that. But you will, and this is a wonderful thing for you. So, sublime wisdom then is the ability to behave in such a way that we comprehend that at every moment, and by doing this, we will be a beacon of clear light to others, and others will turn to us to help them in whatever way we can, and we can have compassion, and this will encourage our practice of compassion and limitless compassion, of streaming from us, compassion without intent, compassion to help all creatures, compassion that helps all beings that are near us. So this is sublime wisdom. So sublime wisdom is something to be sought and by a practitioner, and sublime wisdom is something to be encouraged in other practitioners. So I want to thank you for listening today. I know that increasingly there are many of you listening, and I think that's really wonderful. And I just want to say thank you for watching tonight. Please develop sublime wisdom. Please understand that we're surrounded by unconditional love at every moment. And if we are not seeing that, then we are being dualistic to some degree. So please consider those things and meditate. See you next time. See you next time.